You've seen these impressive Jeep moves before.
That would be the sound of the standard Rubicon skid plates.
And if you're not using them, you're not working hard enough.
But you're witnessing a different kind of Wrangler. Listen carefully. Yes, that is the unmistakable sound of a diesel engine, a 3-liter V6 turbo diesel to be exact, which means torque. How much?
A whopping 442 pound-feet of torque. When I think about that number, I think about the original 5.9 liter Cummins diesel that we put in a Dodge Ram pickup was 400 pound-feet of torque.
Jeep brought automotive writers to Springdale, Utah, near Zion National Park to demonstrate what an EcoDiesel Wrangler can do both off and on-road.
Wrangler has never had a diesel. Technically, the old CJ, its predecessor, had one back in the 60s, but it has been a while. And if you're thinking that FCA just took their existing V6 diesel and dumped it into here, no.
It's pretty much a new engine since it had to meet not just power, but fuel efficiency targets.
And together with this request to have impressive performances, incredibly high torque, we've been requested to improve the fuel economy a lot. So the two requirements are normally very difficult to be achieved simultaneously. So it was challenging. This is the reason why we had to change a lot of parts. So red is a new component, and gray means that it's the same component already used in Generation 2. So you cannot see a lot of green. So it's all red, the engine is red.
Let's get under the hood and take a look. Wranglers don't have releases down by the driver's foot. This Generation 3 EcoDiesel meets much more stringent emission standards. Let's not forget, FCA had its own Volkswagen moment. At 260 horsepower, it's 25 shy of the 3.6-liter gas V6, but adds 182 pound-feet of torque for 442, and it's available starting at 1,400 RPM. It's paired with a new 8-speed transmission and standard 4-wheel drive, naturally. By the way, the set-and-forget automatic 4-wheel drive setting available in the gas Wrangler cannot be had with the diesel. It would make sense that this engine is the same as the one in the Ram 1500 pickup, but it gets a lot of modification.
And the reason why we had to change so many parts is because, well, the two engine compartments are so different. So we had to redesign many components to package the vehicle in this vehicle. And we had also to consider some special vehicle requirements, really specific for the Jeep. For example, the water fording capability, which is very important for the Jeep Wrangler. We had to move the alternator in a very high position, and there's a domino effect moving the alternator. We had to redesign the block, we had to redesign the front-end accessory drive, we had to move the injection pump.
One last thing.
You get outstanding fuel economy and driving range. Now, unfortunately today, I cannot go through and give you an EPA label number, but what I can tell you is that this is going to be the most fuel efficient, longest driving range Jeep Wrangler ever produced.
But we're heading out for some 150 miles of on-road driving in Sahara models, so I can glean some information.
All right, spoiler alert, it sounds like a diesel.
There's a new acoustic package to quiet the grumble, unique suspension tuning, and new bushings handle the extra 400 pounds and vibration of the EcoDiesel.
As you might expect, you do feel the torque off the line. Deep, solid torque.
The automatic engine start-stop system is smoothly done and can be defeated. At speed, the square Wrangler shape generates some wind noise, though not as much as expected, and that masks the diesel sound somewhat.
I'm not going to spend an awful lot of time talking about the on-road dynamics of the JL. Rest assured, it is much better than the JK. Much more comfortable on an everyday basis.
Still, on-center feel isn't fully locked down. Adjustments need to be made. Wrangler owners must accept this is not a Honda Accord. And the diesel engine is not as smooth as the 3.6-liter gas V6, but it's much more efficient. I grabbed this shot of the fuel efficiency, but actually saw closer to 32 miles per gallon according to the computer. Very impressive.
Our drive route is taking us through Zion National Park, and we cannot get out of the vehicle to shoot, so you're just going to have to trust me This place is amazing. It's like an artist came through and rearranged everything. You really have to get here if you've never been here. Look at this. It's just absolutely beautiful. I need to come back here.
Time to do what Wranglers are famous for.
It's like you're a professional. Have you done this before?
Every year or so when I come to one of these events.
The diesel can be had in 4-door Sport, Sahara, and Rubicon models. In Utah's Sand Hollow State Park, the Jeep folks carved out a course that shows how capable the Rubicon is. I'm lucky to snag Jeep's Doug Rutter.
And that's one of the comments that we get probably most frequently as we're out, doing the development testing. Is when people see us out and they're like, well, what'd you do to this car? How'd you modify it? What'd you do? It's like, no, this is a stock Rubicon. This is the way any customer can go out and buy it from the dealership, and it's as capable as you'll ever need.
Yeah, and I'm always amazed that a stock Rubicon can do what it can do, because visually, when you look at this terrain, you think no vehicle should really go over here. Maybe a dirt bike.
Yeah.
And the camera really never does it justice. It always looks pretty easygoing, but this is pretty severe stuff.
The diesel engine means extra components, starting with a urea tank to keep emissions in check.
Our engineers also spent countless hours, thousands of hours on the trails, and we did find 2 areas of compromise underneath the body. So rearward of the fuel tank is the urea tank. We added a new skid plate there, and also the fuel water separator filter, which is required for the diesel, also required a new skid plate.
But even with those protected tanks, the Wrangler has no issues doing this.
An approach angle of 44 degrees, breakover at 22, and rear departure angle at 37 degrees. A ground clearance at 11 inches, a disconnecting front sway bar that increases front to left articulation by about 30%. The Wrangler can go and traverse over anything.
All EcoDiesels will have Dana 44 front and rear axles and run 373 axle ratios.
Back to the EcoDiesel specifically.
So for people who don't know, what is the advantage of the diesel in this vehicle?
One of the biggest advantages is the torque. So you get the torque, especially at the low engine RPM where you need it, especially for off-road. You get the 442 foot-pounds of torque, but you get that at starting at 1400 engine RPM. So when you're crawling through rock events like this, you get that torque when you need it. So that when you come to events like this, you'll be able to just kind of crawl up. You might need a little bit of throttle.
Amazingly capable.
Yeah, so that's the one big advantage there. You just kind of highlighted it there. As you're coming up that event,
Yeah.
you just need some light throttle just to kind of get that torque spooled up and get you up over that rock.
And there's no doubt the instant nature of the powerful grunt is appreciated. In 4-low, the throttle is remapped for smooth, graceful application, and the brakes are calibrated to keep things precise and controlled in severe conditions.
This is always tons and tons of fun. And it's even more fun in somebody else's Jeep,
Honestly, wish my video showed how steep this is. It's 1 o'clock and Old Sol is nearly straight up in the sky.
This is great. I'm going up a sheer cliff and I can't see.
You see Jim?
Yeah. And looking straight into the sun. Thank you.
Hopefully I didn't blind you.
Thank goodness for spotters. Keep in mind, this is a stock Rubicon, and while many Wrangler owners really do go off-roading, I have to believe the percentage that take it to this degree isn't high. Got to respect those who do, especially those who modify them.
That is a narrow chasm.
Driving fast is a lot of fun, but crawling can be even more so.
You did that beautifully.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, a little rusty, but always fun. Yeah, let's do it again.
I know some people.
A quick tour around the interior, that remains the same. There are no repurposed switches and knobs from the FCA parts bin. It's all Jeep in here. It feels less like a car interior and more like a tool bench, in a good way. This is the Sahara interior, and there's a heated steering wheel. A reminder that the doors are removable with a convenient handhold when taking them off so you don't drop them. And the windshield can be unlatched and dropped forward. The tools that do that are included right here, and all Wranglers come with a 2-year supply of trail mix. Kidding, but you could stash a lot of it here, or here, or here. Uconnect remains one of the best touchscreen user interfaces in the business, with solid response and good organization. Android Auto and Apple CarPlay are standard. Pressing this into family duty, there's good room for 2 adults or 3 smaller ones, though remember, with generous ground clearance comes awkward entry and exit. It's on the high side, but people have lots of features that make life easy once they climb inside.
A reminder, Wrangler doesn't have an easy one-piece tailgate. You've got this, and you've got this. And if you're in the city and often load things to the curb, this is going to get in your way.
Clips can be mounted on this rail to hang things. This infographic is a nod to the original Willys Jeep. The floor is on the high side, but there's good cargo room, and the seats split and fold 60/40. Mount tie-downs if you need to keep cargo from shifting around on rough terrain, and you can stash a laptop here, but turn them off. Thieves can detect them when they're left on, even in the wilderness. A V6 gas-powered 4-door sport automatic retails for close to $36,000, so an EcoDiesel model should begin at around $40,000, the Rubicon about $50,000, and that's before you start choosing between the 3 different roofs and a forest of options. Wranglers are not inexpensive toys. Now that Volkswagen is out of the diesel business in the US, the technology is hardly popular here, and it has a black eye. FCA put a lot of effort and money into the 3rd generation EcoDiesel, then repackaged it to fit the demands of Wrangler's engine bay and off-road requirements. And while it will also get installed in the Gladiator pickup mid-2020, a business person would see this as a risky return on investment. That said, the engine is a perfect match for what enthusiasts do with this rock crawler. Jeep's research shows there's a pent-up demand for the diesel. Wrangler fans, the ball's in your court. Put up or shut up. Jeep has delivered. The EcoDiesel is capable, efficient, and reasonably priced. Now, let's see how many takers there are. I'm always in a hurry on these events to get decent video and enough seat time to make sure I understand the dynamics of the vehicle. Unfortunately, the wireless mic that Doug Rutter was wearing went dead shortly after we started, so I couldn't use as much of his audio as I would have liked, but I salvaged as much as possible. He was a wealth of information. Special thanks to my drive partner, Vince Bond from Automotive News, who drove so I could get running footage. You can just see his very cool Ferrari jacket on the left side of the frame. And a reminder that I accept these press trips so I can talk to engineers and get information out to you as soon as possible. As beautiful as this area is, it's a hassle to get here for a one-day event, and I'm coming from the West Coast. I highly recommend staying in Zion for a few days. It's memorable and a terrific place to go hiking.
Hope you enjoyed my trip to Utah. It is a beautiful place, and my look at the Jeep Wrangler EcoDiesel. A reminder that they're coming out with a plug-in hybrid version of the Wrangler. I don't know what the all-electric range is going to be, but electric motors have a lot of torque, so, you might wait around, see what happens with that. Hope I gave you information on whether or not this is the kind of engine you'd want in your Wrangler. And a reminder to click subscribe and then notifications so you don't miss any of these reviews, all right? All right. That's Driven. I'm Tom Voelk.